if you wanted to save some data, you have some mechanism like that, and there are a lot of kinds of data actually. Let's say integer data, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6. These are all some kind of numerical data. And if you wanted to save names abcd, and this is a kind of another data. And instead of a numbers, also numbers itself, there are lots of kind of data like decimals 1.23, 12.34, like that, this kind of data. And there is a kind of boolean data type. It's a kind of true or false. It's just a true or false, yes or no kind of data. So lots of data types are type of a data is available, right? So for each and every data type of a data, we have some appropriate data types available in the Java to store the data. So it will just hold the data, and it will just hold the data, and it will give you a reference to that. And yeah, so we will see what are all the data types available in Java and what are all the sizes of it. So they have a limit of size also. Let's see. Mm, Let me open a notepad. Even before that, there are two types of data. We will just talk about this one only. Primitive data types, not non-primitive data types. Non-primitive data type in the sense it's a advanced one. So we will see it in the second part. Oops concepts, right? The first one, primitive data type. The type of a data. These are all the available data types in a Java. So starting from byte and to the boolean. So if you see, each and every has their own specific characteristics. Byte is for integers, and character is for single character, any single character from a keyboard, only single character from a keyboard. And short is for integer as well, and int is also integer, long is for integer. But why these many? Why these many for integer? Integer in the sense 1 2 3 4. Why these many for 1 2 3 4? So it is for a specific length actually. This is a very short, very small data type. If you wanted to save, there is a limit actually. We need to just focus, we need to just calculate limit by a formula. So there is a limit for a short, very less limit for a short, and this is a medium, and long is a very big length. If you talk in bytes, if you talk in a bytes, this is a 2 byte, and this is a 4 byte, and this is a 8 byte. And float and double is for decimals, like I said, right? Decimals 1.34, 14.56. Those kind of data you will use a float and double. Why again 2? There is again a size which is having a difference. Float is having a 4 bytes size, and double is having a 8 byte size. Boolean is kind of just a true or false. That means uh, it's a kind of only two values. It can support only true or false. That's it. It's a kind of conditional statement. So if you see here, the bits wise they given, I mean the size of bytes. Boolean has a 1 byte, 1 bit, and character, this one. I should have, it's a picture actually, so I should have crop it. I should have do it in a, this has first actually, this has to come first. In order. So byte has 1 byte, and character has 2 byte, short has 2 byte, int has 4 byte, long has 8 byte, float and double has 4 and 8 bytes. So if you remember, if you wanted to remember like this, just remember like this. These two are the decimals, which is having 4 and 8, 4 byte and 8 byte. And these three are for integers, and these three, and the first one, byte. So byte is for 1 byte, and short 2, 1, 2, 4, 8. You can remember like this. Character is for single character. It can be 2 byte. It is a 2 byte data type. So if you come down, you can able to see the ranges for each and every data type. Byte can only support from this from this range to this range, minus 128 to plus 127. If you wanted to keep more than this, it will not accept. It will give you the compilation error itself. I mean, if you try to add 128 to the byte, and if you wanted to try to compile the program, it will give you the error. And for the same for short, since it is a 2 byte, 2 byte will be calculated like this: 32,768 to 32,767 minus 2 plus, and integer this many, long this many. So the first four are for integers, and these two are for decimals, and this is for true or false, and this is for single character from any character. Is it can be number, it can be abcd, it can be special character, it can be anything like underscore, semicolon, anything. It can have single character only, right? So this we will talk about later. This is just a kind of theoretical way. It's a kind of classes, you can call. Non-primitive types is called as a reference type of a classes. We will go through. You may not understand now, so just leave it as it is. So we will see one example of this data types. So we'll see one example, and we know about the sizes also, right? Now we don't need to remember the sizes and the ranges. You just need to remember only size, but not the range. Range is not required because anyway we are doing in a Eclipse, right? Eclipse or IntelliJ. It will automatically show you if you try to give more than its range. It will automatically show you. That's not a problem. You don't need to remember, but remember the sizes with the bytes in a byte format. And yeah, you know the byte to bits conversion, right? 1 byte equals to 8 bits. If you wanted to convert this to the bits, so it's a 8 bits, 16 bits, 8 into 4, 32, 8 into 8, 64, like that. If you wanted to talk in a bits, so it's a kind of a conversion 1 into 8. 1 byte equals to 8 bits. That's it. And yeah, we will see a small example in we will see a small example in Notepad itself today. For today, from tomorrow onwards, we will see it in Eclipse. Okay. So this is a program which we done day before yesterday. So let me create the same program again. I don't want to touch this. So I wanted to have same public class. Data types is the class name. Instead of this, public static void main. This is a common code, and you don't need to bother now. So we will see each and every word. We will talk about it. What is this, and what is this, and what is this, and what is this? Each and every word we will talk. That's not a, I mean, no need to bother about now. Now, instead of a main method, we will talk about this one as well, string also. So we have a class ready. So just save it. Where is that? So here you have to save with the same name. Data types is a name which you used for a class name. You have to save with the same name and dot extension as a Java, dot Java as an extension. Okay. So save it. And if you wanted to give some spaces for clarity, you can give like this. This is a method you created, and inside of the method, whatever the lines, whatever the code you written, that will be get executed once you run the program. So let's see how can we what is the syntax of a data type, and how can you store the data inside of it? So let's see what is the syntax of it. The syntax I'll write first. Uh, Data type. The syntax I'm just writing. variable equals to value. So you have to comment it. I mean, this will not compile because I just given a normal English words. So you have to comment it. If you comment like this, it will not going to be executed and it will not going to give any error at the compilation time. So this is the syntax of creating a creating a variable with a specific data type and the value of it. So let's create a small data type, one data, integer data, let's say. What is a data type supported? What is a data type supportable for integers? You can use byte or else short, int, and long. So these are all the byte you can use or else int, long, short. These four you can use, first four for integers, right? So that's why they given the ranges also. See, 128 to this many. If you wanted to say very big, you can use a long. This many it can be supportable. And yeah, I will use a int. Int is a normally we will use a int because uh, it's a it's a most commonly using integer data type. So I'll use a int. So instead of data type, I'll use the int data type here. And variable is a name which can be provided to this. Uh, if you wanted to save 10, you have some variable, right? You need to have some reference to it. How can you call it? If you don't save it with a specific name, let's say you have to save it with um, I wanted to give it as a I. Int I equals to value is a 20. So this is how you have to you have to create a variable with the data type and with the value. So there are two steps is involved here. So this is a declaration and this is a initialization. So I just did it in a single line. Usually we will do it in a single line only. If you get confused, so I'll just explain it again. So you can create like this. In J, I will use a J. This is the initialization. So you just, sorry, this is a declaration. You just declare J as an int. J is an integer supportable variable. And now you can able to initialize it. J equals to 25. Now J is holding the value of 25. And this and both are same syntaxical wise and both are having some integer value, but in a two steps you are doing this one. First is a declaration and second one is the initialization. In the declaration phase, you just declare J as an integer supportable variable, and in the second line you just initialized. So instead of this, you can directly use this. You can directly write like this. Now int I equals to 20 means int I is an integer supportable variable, and only you can able to store only integers, and the range of int is 4 bytes, and you're going to save only 20 into that. Now now I is holding a 20 value. So how can you verify I is holding a 20 or not? So you can able to print it. Let's say system.out.println is a one statement which we will use to print it, right? So let's print it. So I'm just using a system.out.println. If you use double quotes, it will print as it is. That's what we discussed in the first day. If you use the double quotes, let's say, if you use like this, it will just print as it is, int value. That's it. It will not give you, it will not, let's say int value and space I you given. If you wanted to print the I value, it will not take the I value. It will just print the I itself, int value I. But you wanted to print the value which is holding by the I. So if you wanted to do that, so remove the double quotes, directly put the I. It the I value and print it in the system.out.println. So this is how you have to give to the, if you wanted to print the I value, I mean, if you wanted to print any variable value, you have to directly give it in a system.out.println. Let's check it out. Go to the command prompt. just see only .java file is there, right, as of now, and go to that location, switch to the drive itself, C drive to D drive, like this. It will just change the drive location to the D drive, and go to 01 and go to June batch. And now we are inside of this location, instead of June batch. And how can we compile? What is the command to compile? Datatypes.java. How to compile that? Anybody? How to compile that? What is the compilation command?
Java C file name.
Good. Java C space. File name is types. You have
Data
to
type.
put in a case sensitive. It's a case. Java is a case sensitive. So file name dot Java.
.java.
Right. So if you execute this, it will automatically compile and give you a .class file. Let's see it in the file system as well here. And if I do enter, just created datatypes.class 837 today, right? Now, how can we execute that? So for execution, so you have to use Java
Java C. Java
datatypes.
space data type.
That's it. And press enter. It will just execute the .class file. It will pick up the .class file and try to execute that main method inside of it. Only one statement is there. That is just two statements is there. Just initializing the variable with the 10 with the 20 value, and the name of a variable is I, and it will just using in the system.out.println to print it. So let's see. Yeah, 20 is printed, right? So this is how you have to create. There is a three steps are involved. This is how you have to declare the variable and initialize the variable, and last step is printing the variable. You no need to use the double quotes. If you use the double quotes, what will happen? Double quotes instead of the double quotes I. Just save it, come to again command prompt and compile it again. Class file is updated and execute it. It will just print I instead of 20. See? So you should not use a double quotes if you wanted to print any variable. So how can, there is a one more step I'll tell you. So how can you print double quote value and as well as variable value? So how can you print it? So there is a one step. Let's, I don't want to touch that system.out.println, system.out.println. I wanted to just give a meaningful information in I value hyphen 20. I wanted to print like this. So how can you print it? So I value hyphen, and I wanted to print I value as well. So if you print I like this, it will give you compilation error. This is the right way. I mean, this is a way, but there is a one step is missed. So this will print as it is, I value hyphen, and this will print 20. But there will be a, since it is a two type of a data, it's a string data. This is a double quote data. I mean, string ABC, alphanumeric data, and this is a dynamic variable data. So if you wanted to combine these two, you have to use a plus symbol in between these two. Just remember, you have to use a plus symbol to concatenate these two as a result set, single result set. So now it will print I value hyphen, the I value it will going to print 20. So plus is a mandatory if you wanted to concatenate dummy string, I mean dummy value instead of a double quote, and as well as dynamic variable value. If you wanted to concatenate these two, you have to use a plus symbol, right? So go and just compile it again. Just compile and execute it. See, I value is 20. Again, this I value is double quotes, right? That's why I is printed. Now I value is 20. So this is how you have to print the data, normal double quote data, or as well as dynamic variable data. So just change it to this. So this is a way you can able to declare, initialize, and print the data, right? And now We will try to see for another examples, another data types. How can we proceed with another data types? So let's see. So now I will show you for byte. So byte is also simple thing. Byte b equals to, I want to create a one value for a byte. Let's say I wanted to create a 15. So this is how you have to create a value for byte, and just print the value of byte b. System dot out dot println. So if you wanted to give some information before printing, just give like byte value. Here int value, you can just type it as int value, and byte value is b. In between these two, you have to give plus symbol. This spaces is not mandatory. You can put the spaces or you can remove the spaces. This is not a problem actually. Okay. So the very first few classes, all you have to do is just get the syntaxes. Just get familiar with the syntaxes, and yeah, try to practice more and more, and you will be familiar with the syntaxes. That's the first thing. If you get familiar with the syntaxes, it will automatically go on. No need to think about the syntax. That's pretty good for writing the programs, right? And now compile it again. I have just declared the byte and initialize the value and just going to print it. So compiled, now print it, execute it in Java space data types. It will just print byte value of -15. So this is about byte, and this is pretty simple. Byte, short, int, long, those are all pretty simple. So I wanted to go for next short. Short s equals to, short is a 2 byte supportable, so it can be one big data type than the byte. Let's put 100. I given the ranges, right? You can just check it out the ranges whether it is giving error or not. Println, or else we will just check it out right now. For a short, what is the range? 32,768, 32,767. If I wanted to keep 32,768, let's see, 32,768, it should give an error. In a compile time itself, it will not accept. Short value is yes, right? So just compile, it will just give you the error. Just check it out. See, incompatible types, possibly losing conversion from int to short. So it is directly just mentioning that it is taking as an int, but it is directly converting as a string. I mean, there's a conversion is going on backend, but no need to bother about it. This value is not supportable for short, the meaning of it. So yeah, try to keep it as a 7 and save it. Come here and just compile it again. It is accepted. That's the ranges for each and every data type actually. So yeah, according to your requirement, if you wanted to store a big number like a phone numbers, just let's say if you wanted to store a phone numbers, it's a 10 digit, right? You can pick it. You should not use a short or int. You have to go for a long. So yeah, according to the business requirement, you have to choose one particular data type. That's it. Now short value is 32,767, and we have done with a byte, short, int, long. We will see the long. Long L equals to, it's a very big, you can use big number, and system dot out dot println. If you observe system, in the system S is a capital, you have to give the capital only. Java is a case sensitive. It will not accept if you give the small letter. So big, I mean that's what the syntax is. I said you have to be very familiar with the syntaxes, and that's pretty simple, pretty easy. Just practice every day. Long value is L. Just save it. Come here, compile it. Oh, integer number too large. 1 second. Just check the range of it. It's a big range only. Why it's in error? So this number is not supported once again. For long, I don't think so. This much is not supportable for long. This is wrong actually. So long is for a 8 byte. So this much it's not supportable. Double can be supportable. It's a kind of 15 decimal digits, but not long. I don't think so. So yeah, just checking. Yeah, only 9 digits, right? I don't think so. That much of numbers it will not support. I need to just change the documentation. So just change it out with the small letter than that. Double will support actually. Double, yeah, it's a big. Just compile it, it will accept and execute it. This is for long, right? And yeah, next one is a character. So char, how can you declare the char? This is something different than the integers. So char, ch, let's say. So how can you declare the character from a single character in the keyboard? Any character, right? It could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be one, it could be four, anything. How can you declare it? You have to declare in a single code. You have to give a single code instead of a single code only. You have to give the any character, any single character. Let's say I wanted to print at the rate. Just print char value ch. Just go and check it. Char value, compile it and execute it. So char value is at the rate. You have to use it for character. You have to have single quote, otherwise it will not accept. This is the rules actually. You have to remember and get familiar with this. And character after that, float. Float is a one thing. Float f equals to. This is a decimals with the 4 byte size. So let's give it, for a float. It will not directly support decimal values. You have to have some f. At last you have to append the f to the value. So it will just take care about. It will just consider this as a float value, and otherwise it will just consider this as a double value. Double also supportable for a decimals, right? Internally it will consider it as a double value. So from double to float it will never accept. I mean, if it is considered as a double value, it will not convert from double to float. It since it is a bigger data type. So we will see that later classes. So how we will convert from one data type to another data, that we will see it in uh, OOPS concepts. And now, as of now, for float, we have to use f. Since you are manually declaring this as a float value, it is a mandatory thing actually. Just print the float value, save it, come here, and just compile it, execute it. The float value is 12.56. F will not print instead of a system, but it will just take till this as a float value. So that's the meaning of it. And now is a double. Double is a bigger one, and you can able to save decimals. Just saving this many. I don't think so. This many will support. Let's see. After decimal, system.out.println. Right. Just saved it. Compile. Execute it. See the double value is 136 something decimal value, right? And there is a one missed, that is boolean b b. And if you try to take the same variable which is already declared, let's say b is already declared here, and if you are already declared b and again trying to declare the b again, so it will just give you the error. If you try to save it as a true, it will just accept true or false, right? Like I'm just taking as a true. And if I print b, what b it has to print? Either this or this. There is ambiguity, right? That's why they are not allowed as a duplicate variables. Have to have a different bool. I'm just giving it as a bool. System.out.println. Give the same variable name to print that value, right? So just print it. Try to compile it and execute it. Just print it true, and you can give the false as well. False. Save it and compile it. It will just give you the false. Only two variables, only two values for the bool, true or false. And these are all the supportable data types in Java. And there will be one more, that is for ABCDs. We never see the ABCDs, right? If you wanted to save some name, let's say Java is a one name. If you wanted to save that, what is the data type supportable in this? No data type is supportable for this, for the alphanumeric, alphabets, right? So if you wanted to save that, there is a special, that's not a primitive data type. That is not a primitive. These are all the primitive data types. Int, long, byte, short. These are all the primitive data types, but that string will be supportable for alphanumeric data. String, and string is not a primitive data type. String is a non-reference. Reference data type. So it's a non-primitive. But we will see it here. String s equals to, s is already taken, so you should not take it as a s. Just take it as str. And how can you store the string values? Alphabets. Let's say Java. How can you save it? You have to use double quotes. For a character, only the rules and regulations is a single quote, and for float is a f, and for string is a double quote. Just type as a Java and just print it. System.out.println. String value str, right? So just try to compile it. Execute it. The string value is already printed. So it's a Java. So it's an alphanumeric. That could be any characters, group of characters. You can say string is nothing, group of characters, any character from a keyboard again. So let's say I wanted to print this, and this can be supportable. Just compile it and execute it. It will support whatever the how many characters you wanted to keep, that many it will support, and as well as whatever the type of a character. It could be special character, anything, any character from a keyboard, and as well as it's a group of characters. String means. So just try to remove, right? And these are all the data types available in Java, and pick you have to pick the data type according to your situation, according to your requirement. And if it is a name, if you wanted to store, you have to pick a string. If you wanted to save some age, you can just pick int. And if you want to save some phone number, you can pick the long. So that's so this way you can able to use the data type and declare the data type, initialize the data, initialize the value to that particular variable. You can able to print it. And we will see tomorrow arithmetic operations. We will just talk about only integers and how can we do the plus, how can we do the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division and modulo. So we will talk about that tomorrow. So get familiar with this today, okay? And we'll meet tomorrow again. Any doubts still here? Any syntaxical wise or else any doubts? I'll just give you this program as it is and just don't try to copy it and execute. Try to just take it as a reference and type yourself, okay? Type yourself in a new class. And if you have any doubts, if you